Hello, everybody out there in comic book land. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don, and if you're listening to this, you could only be here for one reason, and that's a brand new episode of the Major Issues podcast, brought to you by ComicBook Clique. And as you know, I am never alone. Sir, please introduce yourself.
I am Dan the Comic Man. Hello, ladies and gentlemen.
Dan the Comic Man is in studio, and we have our very best blazers and ties on because we are here to deliver the news that's fit to print for San Diego Comic-Con 2018. What a weekend. We just got the good, the bad, and the ugly from the two major publishers, movies, TV, and comic book news, all here, all for you guys. The Clique. I think we should just get into the movies first. We got so much to talk about here on this episode. But man, before we get on any of this, I am in rare form. This week has taken all the energy out from under me.
No, I think it's my final straw.
This is a lot. There's been a lot going on between the good, bad, and the ugly. Let's get the bad news out of the way as far as just the news is concerned. So, we can start off with James Gunn. James Gunn, director of Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2, fired from Disney and Marvel Studios for, I guess, just really tasteless tweets that he had.
It was
back
bad
in the
jokes.
past.
It was, as somebody that can appreciate comedy of all forms, it was tasteless humor. It was corny. It was not funny. But at the end of the day, it was still jokes.
Yeah, I did see him admit to him trying to do it for a
But
rise.
they called him out when he first tweeted them, and he apologized. But this was 2012. This was before Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1 was even in theaters.
Which is probably his most mainstream film. Like, he did Slither, and he has credits on other stuff, but Guardians,
as far as like
really,
directing and writing,
Right.
not just writing or direct. Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy was his most commercially wise successful film.
And he's been constantly credited as bringing a voice to that franchise that no one really knew anything about.
Because he understands music. He wrote the second script around a soundtrack. He picked the songs first.
And supposedly he wrote the third script already. And now Mr. Gunn no longer has his job helming what was supposed to be the Cosmic Academy of Marvel.
Even if he wrote the third script, no one is going to understand the music the way he understood the music.
Right.
There is going to be an absence in that film. And it's like James Cameron said with this superhero fatigue. For me, it's not superhero fatigue. It's studio fatigue.
I could see that.
They've kicked
budget.
out Jon Favreau. They've kicked out Joss Whedon. Lord and Miller off the Solo project. Edgar Wright. Now James Gunn for tweets from 6 years ago. This is my final straw. I'm done with this with Disney as a whole, all around. I can't.
It's a very frustrating situation because obviously I see the problem. I see what Mr. Gunn did wrong. And I don't agree with any of the tweets because, they were, like you said, they were kind of tasteless. They had to do with children.
They were very disrespectful tweets. If it was funny, I would say, come on, it's funny. But it wasn't funny at all.
Isn't that weird, though? If it was funny but still tasteless, it probably would have got it.
Because that's the thing of comedy is comedy should not have a limit. There should not. You should be able to be made fun of and still laugh. Things should be able to be made fun of. That's the whole purpose of this.
Exactly.
Especially when you joke on something that's not supposed to be joked on. I understand. These are taboo matters, but just you should bring a little light to certain things. And
Twitter has also effectively become a witch hunt.
Twitter has ruined many people's jobs.
Henry Cavill having to come to defense of his own words, saying that he felt nervous dating during this Me Too
that's
situation.
where the situation falls different for me because I read what Henry Cavill said, and he said he misses the old ways of courting a girl. And the old ways of courting a girl were a little bit chauvinistic. It
depends on how you see it, right? Because
the whole thing about the old ways of courting a girl is you don't take no for an answer, even if they say no. Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Now a lot of people are looking at nowadays as that's sort of sexual harassment.
Right.
To be persistent in a sense.
Right.
If she says no should be no.
And that seemingly is to the discretion of the person getting that attention. Therefore, Mr. Cavill doesn't know how his actions are going to be interpreted. And when you're somebody like him who is the leader of a franchise.
He threw the R word out there when even if the old ways of courting a girl was sexual harassment, it's not rape.
No,
to throw the word rape out
to
say,
not.
I'm afraid to flirt with women because I don't want to look like a rapist.
Right.
That's very bad. That's bad wording. Not bad to say, it's bad wording.
But that's what I'm saying. We've come to a point where that's where we stand. We sit on these high horses and on these castles and pick apart people's wording. Not everyone. If you've asked me questions, I probably said a bunch of questionable things, questionable answers. Given more time, I can give you the most PC answer ever. But now we're getting to the point where
you have to think of everything.
Yeah, more and more of
because I've said it before, even before Henry Cavill said it.
I
said that I was afraid of flirting nowadays in 20, and I've said it as joking, not as serious. But there's some truth to that. It is a little truthful, but that's not comic book stuff. Yeah, that's not comic book stuff.
Don't get it twisted. I'm not defending either man in this case, but be careful because your words can come back to haunt you. And now James Gunn is out of a job.
Man is losing a livelihood. He's losing his life. Who knows when he's going to get another work?
From the loss of a job to a loss of a life, we lost a good one this past week. Mr. John Schnepp,
writer, creator, and director of Metalocalypse. For those who know, others who know him from the Death of Superman documentary?
Yeah, Death of Superman Lives, where he went out of his way to get us the truth behind the failed Superman film of the late 90s, early 2000s.
And he was a prominent worker in Collider videos. He worked with Screen Junkies.
And because of his work with that documentary, he shook a lot of hands. He knows a lot of people in the comic industry, in the entertainment industry. Like you said, he worked for Collider, so he was constantly doing reviews and stuff. He seemed to be fine, but then he had a stroke. And then after that,
he did look overweight. Like he is a big man, so you never know what his health issues could be. He could, on the inside, he could have been a depressed guy who was always eating. So it's.
But he definitely, left behind a legacy, and with that film, he left behind answers, right? So I mean,
we found out a whole bunch of stuff. Like Kevin Smith, was supposed to write the script and everything.
Tim Burton working on it. Be more like John Schnepp. Leave something behind in this world. We're a big world, and there's a lot of us. So on this time on this earth, this short time that we have, just do what you love and try to leave something behind, just like Mr. Schnepp did. Because regardless of whether or not you were a fan of his, he did do some good work, and a lot of people in the industry say he was a great person.
I mean, who doesn't like Metalocalypse? He's the writer, director, and creator of Metalocalypse. That's his baby right there.
And once you have that kind of humor, it's
Def Luck.
Yeah, Def Luck is hilarious.
But before we jump into comic book stuff, one more thing is always try to remember to separate the art from the artist. Just because the artist is a terrible person doesn't mean they don't have amazing talent and they don't do great work. If I never did that, I couldn't watch movies because of so many Miramax projects, so many New Line Cinemas, and Harvey Weinstein produced movies. Look at Kill Bill Volume 2. There was a lot of backstage, bad stuff.
David Carradine dies from autoerotic asphyxiation.
That car that Uma Thurman was driving in Kill Bill Volume 2.
He crashed that into the thing
on purpose. He knew that the car was breaking down and was going to crash at any moment, and he made her and Quentin shoot it anyways.
That's ridiculous.
Because she ignored his passes. So you have to separate the art from the artist, or you'll never like anything.
Right. And hopefully artists will do their best to clean up their acts a little bit when they know people are coming and looking, or just clean up their acts, period. But as far as the art is concerned, we had a bunch of sneak peeks, teasers, and just all-on deep dives on some of the great things coming out of comic book media. We'll take this film to film, and then get to some TV, and then into some comics. But the first trailer I wanted to sit here and talk about was Shazam. The Shazam trailer. This is probably the movie.
Man.
This is probably the movie we had the least information going in comparison to, let's say, an Aquaman, where we got a bunch of set photos and stuff. All that stuff was taken care of.
Yeah, all you saw was Zachary Levi, and it wasn't CGI'd yet, so the suit kind of looked like how the Flash's very first behind the scenes.
Right. Yeah.
The costumes look. How it was very maroon red.
Yes. Is it? I've been calling him Levi. Is it Levi?
It's Levi.
Okay.
It's Zachary Levi, yeah.
Okay, well, yeah.
I think it would be Levy with the Y, like the actor Eugene Levy.
Yeah,
His last name is spelled with the Y.
I
know this from Levi Jeans.
Makes sense. Shazam comes out April 5th, 2014. That put it roughly in between Infinity War and Captain Marvel.
This is weird because I'm seeing here, it's directed by David F. Sandberg, and he's only done feature films, 2 horror movies, and that's Lights Out and Annabelle Creation.
But guess what? James Wan, famous for The Conjuring, is the director behind Aquaman.
Oh yes, he's doing Aquaman. He's done
Has DC gone so dark that we're pulling out horror film directors?
I think that's what it is because they have nothing left. They had Joss Whedon, they had Zack Snyder. And
Yeah.
Patty Jenkins did Monster. That's kind of like a
Yeah,
horror
that is
movie.
kinda
So
true,
yeah,
yeah.
but she did great with Wonder Woman. So who knows? Maybe what they need is these horror movie directors to help bring in this nitty gritty universe that they want to do.
But it's funny because DC does have a nitty gritty universe, definitely, especially with the last couple of entries into their universe. But this film, seems to be a bit lighter. It's going to be starring, like you said, Zachary.
Well, it's a man-child
Levi.
superhero.
Yeah, exactly.
It's a man-child too. I've always wanted to see Shazam because when I watched that, I think it was, I don't remember the name of the title. You could probably help me out, but it was the Shazam Superman cartoon.
I think
movie.
it's like Shazam Superman against Black Adam or something like that.
Yeah,
that's
what.
Like
yeah,
Shazam Superman.
So that movie was great because even his appearance in Justice League, the cartoon. Right. When he was fighting Superman,
they brought Shazam in to be in the main line of Justice League films for their animated universe, and Shazam also played a big part in their first Injustice movie, game/movie. So they've been trying to push this IP. They bought the rights to Captain Marvel, the character Captain Marvel from Fawcett Comics, DC did. And since then, they've been trying to find a way to work him into the mythos. I know that when the New 52 came out, Jeff Johns' Justice League, at the back of every issue or arc was a little piece of Shazam's history. So they've been legit trying to work this IP for a while. And with Captain Marvel coming out literally that year, the next month after Captain Marvel or so, we'll get the original Captain Marvel, Shazam. Zachary Levy and Asher Angel play Billy Batson. We got Mark Strong there as Dr. Savannah.
Which I can't wait because I love Mark Strong and everything he does.
Yes. Wasn't Mark Strong in Green Lantern?
I think he had a role.
Was he not Sinestro? He might have been Sinestro.
Yes, he was. Mark Strong was Sinestro.
He
was in Kingsman, too.
Look at that. He's just showing up everywhere. Mark Strong plays Dr. Savannah, a villain of Shazam's. We also have Jack Dylan Grazer as Freddie Freeman. But off the bat, you can tell just the comedic nature is way different in this film than any other DC.
Well, I can't see the other writer, but one of the writers is credited for being a major screenwriter for Shrek Forever After. So,
okay.
so
there is definitely some
one of the screenplay writers does have childlike, writing under his credit.
Right, and I'm not gonna lie, one of the takeaways from the trailer is the kid that plays Freddie Freeman. Jack Dylan Grazer seems to be a natural. He seems to.
Oh, the one that was helping Billy Batson do the training and stuff.
Yeah,
he kind of looked hilarious. Like
he seemed to really be a natural. And these child actors, it's not easy to grab. But compelling child actors.
Ever since these kids have been surfacing from
Stranger
Things. That was the thing. Is once this wave of kids started surfacing in Stranger Things, all of a sudden child acting actually started getting up there, because I remember for a long time child actors were either always these annoying divorcee kids or they were always sick and in the way.
Well, not only that, then you have the deep dark net of child actors, and what happens after them once they get used and abused by these studios. So people try to stay away from that for quite some time. You don't want another Drew Barrymore situation on your hands. But this film does seem to want to. It's funny because the song in the background is "Be Humble" by "Humble" by Kendrick Lamar. It's a remix of that song, and it's almost a meta commentary on DC, right? Like, be a little humble, like sit down.
Look at the waves we've been getting. It's not even that we've had any breath of fresh air to slow down. Ever since Batman Begins, all we've been getting is these nitty gritty DC movies. Once Nolan stepped away, and then we had this DCEU thing, and then look, Man of Steel, Batman versus Superman, Justice League, Wonder Woman, Suicide Squad. All of these are either dark lit movies or just dark toned movies.
What do you think is going to set this one different?
The fact that it's a man-child as a superhero, so we have an excuse to have these piss and fart jokes.
We already know it's not going to be brooding if he's a child.
Exactly.
Children don't really brood. They might get a little bit of an attitude or slam a door.
You see it in the trailer when him and Freddie Freeman stop the robbery, and then they're just walking out. Hi. You're welcome for being saved.
Hey,
we're just gonna walk away. Yeah, and they're just walking away with a bunch of treats, and this guy's in a full Shazam outfit.
And the first thing they try to do is get beer, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah, you see his training sessions, and you see him trying to fly and then falling. That's what's gonna be the takeaway of this movie. Is when you have a man-child as your main star, you have excuses and reasons to get away with childlike humor.
And with childlike humor, I would say probably before, even if you've seen Stranger Things, you're able to call back to pop culture a lot with children with childlike humor.
Yes.
But in this one in particular, there seems to be a rise of internet culture in the
they're
film.
younger,
and that would be that generation.
Look with Tom Holland. Tom Holland's 15 in these universe movies.
Yeah.
A lot of his pop culture references come from movies.
Right.
He's made 3 Alien movie references in Infinity War.
I want to say Billy Batson would be considerably younger than
he would
Peter
be
Parker
9-10 years old, wouldn't he?
Early teen, early preteen.
I would so I would give him 11, 12, maybe 12 pushing it.
Yeah, but you see them doing the backpack kid dance. So
yeah, exactly. So,
he's
gonna have meme talk.
Right.
There's gonna be a lot of "you don't say" type memes and stuff adults aren't gonna understand, but kids are gonna want their parents to bring them back.
That's where it's gonna be. That's where it's gonna have to be.
And you know what? If I was a father, I would be more likely to bring my kid to a Shazam movie than I would to bring him to Suicide Squad or Justice League.
Definitely, and there's almost it's a non-factor, the idea that DC does these dark movies, because once you see this trailer, it's like, oh, I can see myself sitting there.
It was the same reason why they fired Tim Burton in '92 because
Batman
Batman Returns wasn't marketable for kids.
Happy Meals, you can't make Happy Meals about the cat that licks the penguin.
They pulled all the Happy Meals out of the shelf.
But I dug the effects. Probably the best
the
part
effects
of it
was another big takeaway when you see that Shazam scene where he transitions, he's walking and you see the lightning strike.
And
then
he's
so
a grown
awesome.
man. He's
that
a
was
grown
so
man
awesome.
trapped in a little kid trapped in a grown man's body.
And that's what I've wanted to see live and on the big screen for so long, is that little kid walking with his red hoodie and just say Shazam and bam.
It would be interesting to do after all these trailers. We should rank our anticipation from 1 to 5. So with the music, the tone, the special effects, and everything like that, I'm pretty on the cusp of anticipating this movie. I would say about a 4, probably a 4 out of 5. Just because Shazam's not really my thing, but I am willing to sit there and let them tell me a story about him, which I have a lot more anticipation for that than I did, I would say, for Justice League, which I was a little bit hesitant for. Justice League won an award, remember, for most anticipated movie of the year, and then seemingly crapped the bed. So with this, I don't know enough of it to crap the bed in my eyes.
Yeah,
so
that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is like I haven't read much of Captain Marvel in comics, but as far as everything I've seen in cartoons and played him in the video games, I have always had a love and an interest for Captain Marvel, Shazam. Right. Everything about it, just like you can't go wrong. Like you have all the steps in front of you. A character like this, you cannot go wrong with.
Jeff Johns is also going to be writing a brand new Shazam. It might be an ongoing series. I have to double check that, but they're bringing him back. So there's going to be synergy where a lot of people will be seeing this hero for the very first time in theaters, and hopefully then going to read the rest of his stories that DC ends up telling through their publication.
And I hope they can get trilogies out of that. But as far as I don't want to expect anything, because ever since Logan trailer and Logan movie, I don't do expectations anymore.
We'll do our Logan review at another date.
I have to watch it one more time. But as far as like from what I've seen in this trailer, if I'm gonna rate the trailer was a solid 5.
Okay,
I was entertained. Yeah, I wanted to see more, but not see more. I'm glad that it was at what it was at. I kind of get a feel of it. The kid's an orphan. He finds the old god. He becomes Shazam.
The wizard, Shazam. We see that.
I don't really know much of villains outside of. I don't know any villains outside of Black Adam. So
well, what I know about Dr. Sivana is I think that the wizard came to him first, but then was like, "Nah, you're not worthy. You can't be the champion." So Sivana's thing is he has an obsession over the magic that he was never able to wield, like he wasn't worthy to wield. So his whole thing is like,
it's like a low-key Thor vibe, like I'm the true ruler, I'm the true ruler.
But also mad scientist, because he believes that he can invent things that would replicate what we believe to be magic. He believes that all magic can be broken down into science, and that he can combat the effects of magic with his mind. Screw that wizard, right? It's not him. I don't need his magic. I can create my own magic using science. So they will be getting that kind of thing. And that's the man. You see that scene where he punches Dr. Sivana, and so Dr. Sivana was able to capture or hold his hand. So it's like, what's going on there as far as weaknesses are concerned. But yeah, watching them go through and try out this whole superhero thing, it's legit what we would all do. It's what we wanted from our Spider-Man. Just like there's obviously the great power comes great responsibility stuff, and there's always going to be the black cloud of like I said, just responsibility, what you have to do now that you're a hero.
Yeah, but that's from my understanding of Shazam is he doesn't have an idea of responsibility. He is still just that immature kid because he's a foster kid. bouncing around. He has no parents to raise him, so he doesn't have that idea of responsibility. So in my head, I see just somebody that you can throw in a superhero suit and just let him do whatever he wants.
But we get to see him have fun, and that was part of the fun for Spider-Man: Homecoming was when he put on the suit and was trying out all the different things that that was in it.
Stuff like that is cool, but at the end of the day, Spider-Man still knows that the loss of Uncle Ben in front of his eyes, that he could have stopped it, is still why great power comes with great responsibility. Shazam's eyes, with Billy Batson's eyes is it my birthday? Because I just got a new present.
Oh yeah,
I'm gonna,
exactly. Right.
These superpowers is a toy to him.
But I wonder if there's going to be a tether in that film. Is something going to tie him down and ground him into the point of, listen, this is a responsibility now.
And I hope, honestly, they make that kid, Freddy, like a damsel in distress of some type. Like
I have him written down as the guy in the chair. He's my Ned Leeds of this film.
Oh, man. Ned's a great character.
Yeah, Ned's great.
That's a real friend right there.
And a lot of our childhood is dictated by the friendships that organically form, and where the decisions that we make are informed by our friends.
Could you imagine if me and you, like, if you had superpowers? I would do the same thing that they're doing. We're gonna go to the park and we're gonna start training. We're gonna see how you fly. Let's see you run fast. You know?
I totally dig that, especially when we got a lot of more, especially in the DC canon, we have a lot more older heroes, and their responsibilities are huge. When you look at the Justice League, every one of them is basically a god, and so their responsibilities are to the world. They're not to, their neighborhood or their adopted family. It's for that. I say that to then say we get the Aquaman trailer. Aquaman comes out December 21st, 2018. It will be the last comic book movie of the year, and DC is hopefully swinging for the fences with this. It stars Jason Momoa as Arthur Curry, Patrick Wilson as the Ocean Master, Amber Heard as Mira. We got Black Manta in there. We got his Mama Atlanta. Volko is going to be in the film. He'll be played by William Dafoe. So it's definitely star-studded, and WB doesn't pull out any of the stops when it comes to casting these things.
Yeah, no, like the only reason why I'm going to see it is because Patrick Wilson. I have such a respect for the Second Night Owl. Like,
I was just about to say, like, this will be his first comic book thing, tangential comic book title since
this will be a second comic book. No, he was in no, the A-Team wasn't a comic book. I thought he was in the Losers for a second, but no, he was in. Yeah, Watchmen, and now this would be his second comic book movie.
Yeah.
This is his I think this is like his second or third movie under James Wong's direction, though.
Yeah.
So I'm curious to see how him and James Wong work together.
Director of The Conjuring. What was your takeaway from the Aquaman trailer?
I'm not gonna sit here and pander to no audience. That's not what I do. I speak honestly. I have no interest in this movie from this trailer.
Really?
The fight scenes in the water look like a colorful, inconsistent CGI mess. The colors was off. 1 second it was colorful.
I can speak to that.
1 minute it was hyper color palette. The next it's gray and black.
I think the big issue with the underwater war situation. And we were told. I think we broke this on Major Issues, but they had asked James Wan who's taking so long with the trailer, and he's like, the CGI is not done. We have to get this done because, like, 90% of my film is CGI because it's underwater. So until those final effects are done, we can't show anything. I don't want to show anything that's less than. And the depths of the ocean are dark. That's a thing. That's canon in the world. Like, that's what happens. So you have these images that have to be lit. Like the image at the end where there's one team in red lighting and the other team's in blue lighting, and they're rushing towards each other. He has to do inventive things to create light under the ocean.
Yeah, no,
I'm willing to at least give him a chance.
I'm going to suspend my disbelief because I know that there is a certain line that you cross where the light that's it. No more sunlight reaches the ocean.
Right.
So if you're literally on the ocean floor, there is no reason why I should see sunlight reflecting off the top of the water.
Right. And you see that image of him jumping with the... I mean, that was a cool shot. Him jumping with the flare.
When he had the flare and he was on like the back of the shark and went to eat something. That was very like Injustice 2 final move. But,
right.
Well, like I said,
do want to see... we've seen like Troy and 300. I do want to see that, but on... Not horseback, but seahorseback. I would like to see.
It's
like jousting on sharks, bro. Come on, you can't.
There's ideas and concepts, and that's what the problem with DC. What the problem with DC is? They don't have Kevin Feige.
So you think Feige. They go moment to moment instead of cohesive story to cohesive story.
There is literally Easter eggs and callbacks in Avengers Infinity War from the first Iron Man 10 years ago. Do you know what kind of attention to detail?
Yeah, that's exactly what that is.
The other day, I was watching 10 Easter eggs. 10 times Marvel was stuck to continuity.
Yeah.
Remember in the first Captain America, the first Avenger?
Yes.
When he was drawing the monkey on a unicycle in the Captain America outfit?
Yep.
In Civil War, that's in his office, in one of his offices,
Oh,
hung up
cool.
in a frame in the background in a very lit way. In Spider-Man: Homecoming, the principal is the same actor that was in Steve Rogers' battalion in the Second World War.
Oh,
That's
wow.
supposed to be his great
grandson,
nephew, his great grandson,
his ancestor.
To the grandfather's war picture is on the back in the principal's office.
I think I did see that. The Asian principal.
Yes,
right.
and the pictures in the back, it's the same family.
Yeah,
These are attention to details that you are not gonna get anywhere else under the guise of Kevin Feige.
But I would argue that the charisma in just the lead villain and lead hero have to lend itself to some kind of really epic showdown, right? Because I know more about these two probably than I would say about I knew Michael B. Jordan and Chadwick Boseman and stuff like that, but Patrick Wilson is so compelling, and Jason Momoa literally oozes charisma. Can they do this?
They get the great actors. The problem is they have fantastic casting. They are intelligent with this casting, but they have nothing to show for it. Look how long it took the Avengers to be the Avengers. Look how long it took Justice League to be Justice League once they realized they want to establish a universe.
Yeah.
MCU knew that they were going to establish this universe 2 years before the first Iron Man and 3 years before the first Iron Man.
To tell you the truth, the biggest problem with this trailer is that it should have came out in 2016.
Yeah,
that's the biggest problem. Because had this movie come out before Justice League, it would have been the volleyball setup for what ends up happening with Justice League, where we trust and Aquaman, a bit more.
That's
we
the
had
problem.
no background with this, so now we're gonna jump into Atlantis. And while Marvel built their car where it stopped at every solo film and eventually let everyone off at the Avengers film, this is gonna do the opposite, where it's going to drives everyone to Justice League, and then if you want to get off before we get to Aquaman or before we get to Wonder Woman, you don't have to watch any of these.
Yeah, because it's an express train versus a local stop.
Exactly.
And then that's the problem. It's everybody knew who all these characters were in Avengers. In Justice League, we're just supposed to expect the audience to know who Cyborg is because of Teen Titans cartoons, because he's Cyborg. They try and use so much. They rely too heavily on word of mouth.
I think my other issue with this is, like you were saying, about just thinking that the character has enough to
clout to
go
sell
on its
movies.
Own. It's the same way with the Justice League thing, where I felt like they didn't do enough homework to get those guys off and running, and now we have an issue where we just saw Aquaman deal with a universe destroying threat in the Mother Boxes and Steppenwolf and all that kind of stuff. He does, with this storyline, it seems to be the storyline in which Ocean Master is going to try to wage war against the surface, and it'll be the war for the throne. So, on the scale, a little bit smaller, but it just, when we get to Wonder Woman, I don't think it's gonna be world-threatening threats. I keep doing that, but I wonder if the lack of scale. Not with this film, because obviously we have an entire underwater battle and Earth is 70% water. But with the other
characters don't look interesting at all. I have no idea who Aquaman is. Isn't he born in the ocean? He's now a half human, half mermaid.
So I'll do this real quick, because I do believe that both Aquaman and Black Manta's origins will be in this film. So usually what ends up happening, and what looks like to be happening as far as the trailer is concerned, is that Aquaman's mother ends up getting injured and washing up on shore. His father, the Lightkeeper, takes her in, and then they do fish stuff. She ends up being pregnant with child and wants to stay on the surface, wants to quit being Queen of Atlantis, but realizes that she can't and decides to hide Arthur on Earth so that no one else would know and come for him. While she goes back to her rule, she ends up having to marry the lead of the Atlantean Guard. They have a child. His name is Orm, which is Ocean Master, and he ends up becoming the person next in line for the throne because Arthur doesn't even want it. Like Arthur's father doesn't want him to want it, and Arthur doesn't want it. So Orm's gonna have it. When Orm's father dies, Aquaman's mother tries to go back to the Earth. Like remember, like I said, that's all she wanted to do was like to go to Earth.
This is like the 13th year. This is like Disney's the 13th year
Right.
with the mermaids.
So she definitely wants to go back. And Volko, who's going to be played by Willem Dafoe, he's like their advisor. He's going to help her, but then she wants to take the kid, Orm, and he's like, that's going to be a little harder. Let me see what I can figure out. And when she goes back to tell her that the plan is set up for her to escape, she's dead. And he blames the death on Orm and believes that Orm did it so that he could become the next king of Atlantis. So by the time Justice League happens, his mother's already dead because Mira has that conversation with him about you should take the seat, your brother. So that is a definite. What ends up happening after that, which is kind of crazy, is Aquaman. He starts to exhibit some powers. So the father goes to like this scientist, Dr. Shin, I want to say is his name. And the scientist is enamored because he knows all about this Atlantean history and stuff and believes that Atlantis is a real place. No one wants to believe him. So he's like, I could do more research. I can find out more answers. The father gets upset, destroys all the evidence that this Atlantean kid exists. And the professor becomes a laughing stock. So to get his clout back up, he decides he's going to steal Arthur Curry's blood to prove the existence of Atlantis. And he enlists Black Manta to do it. Black Manta goes to take the blood from a younger Arthur Curry, gets into a struggle with Arthur Curry's father, and Arthur Curry's father dies of a heart attack. After Arthur Curry's father dies of a heart attack, Arthur Curry gets furious, goes and seeks out the ship that Black Manta is supposedly on, and accidentally kills Black Manta's father. So they both killed each other's father, and that seems to be set here. The scene that looks like he's taking out a bunch of people on a submarine, I want to say that is him going for the revenge of his father, if I had to guess. So we will be getting the origins of Black Manta and Aquaman in this, and I think that Black Manta is going to be the sneak tip villain. I don't think we're going to get much of him, but I do think he's going to be in the future. And quote me on this. If the movie ends with Mira being pregnant, they are killing that child in Aquaman 2. Because canonically, Black Manta kills Aquababy. And that's one of the biggest moments in DC's lore. And that comes like way before what you would consider the Attitude Era of comics. So there's that. The character has.
I mean, they are going this dark and gritty path. I wouldn't like put it past them to like kill a baby. I can see them doing it horribly. I can see them just
like tastelessly.
No, I mean like too quick. No chance to milk it and soak up the information of what happens. Just
I think that's going to be a setup for the sequel. I think that the main guy is Ocean Master.
1 minute you're going to see Aquaman swimming, and you're going to hear crying and a baby, and the next it's just gonna
funeral.
Yep, it's just
and
that's
then
it.
Everybody knows it.
Hello, darkness, my old friend.
Oh my God, that's terrible. But I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 5, man. I'm ready to see this only because I always like the first movie of somebody because it's their chance to educate me. I'm gonna say I'm at your mercy. Just same way with Shazam. Tell me the story you want to tell me. Whereas a lot of these other things, I will have my arms crossed and I will be expecting a story. And if you don't give me the one I want, I'm gonna be very upset.
Listen, if food was trailers, if trailers was food, so you bring me out an entree of trailers to eat and tell me sample this, and that's what I'm gonna bring out for you. This trailer was a 0. This trailer was garbage. The ending of the trailer. They jumped out of a helicopter into the desert.
Yeah, that was kind of weird.
They're fish creatures into the desert.
There's definitely a Black Panther vibe as far as like driving. I'm flying over the city, the really advanced city that no one knows about. There's scenes of Killmonger putting on his mask and Black Manta putting on his mask.
Well, then if I don't get William Dafoe saying the strength of the Aquaman will be stripped away.
The strength of the fish, man.
The strength of the Sebastian will be stripped away.
What are those?
And then I'm going to...
What are those, by the way?
the lobsters that can sing.
What are those? So, Aquaman, you saying that's a 0? I'll give it a 5. I gave Shazam a 4. I give Aquaman a 5. Then DC comes swinging with the CWDC TV.
Woo,
They're
that
all
was
coming back.
amazing.
They're all coming back. Flash is coming back. Black Lightning's coming back. Legends of Tomorrow's coming back. Supergirl's coming back. Arrow's coming back. Arrow, I want to say it's in its 7th season.
Yeah.
Which is
looking up. It was like in its 7th season.
It's his grandfather, But this will be the 4th year in a row that they have like basically a week's worth of television to not only
don't
produce.
They do like a crossover once a year? I remember like last year was an awesome like Crisis on Infinite Earth type.
Yeah,
crossover.
It was with the Nazis. So the last year, or I guess this TV year, right? In this
seasons,
TV year, season or whatever. I felt a distinct decline in quality, and I can only point to producer Andrew Kreisberg's him being released from all that.
That was
DC
the sexual harassment
because of the sexual
suits, right?
harassment
Yeah.
stuff.
That's right. The showrunner.
Yeah.
Oh man.
So everything hit almost a pause. Flash season 4. Flash is my very favorite television show as far as superheroes are concerned. Live action.
Yeah, I'll agree with you on that one. As far as
But
superhero
season
TV shows
4 was
right now,
season 4 was definitely lacking. And so I'm hoping that all my favorite shows do better this year. But
that's like if Kevin Feige got fired tomorrow. The fate of the MCU is now going to look like the DCEU.
Yeah, you can only be on a treadmill for so long before people realize you're not going anywhere. And that's exactly what happened last year in television with the CW. So hopefully this year does a lot better. There's enough time has gone where Andrew Kreisberg, when he got released, was in the middle of the TV season. Now enough time has happened that hopefully the replacement has been found and they're doing a lot better. You mentioned crossovers. This year's crossover, it was announced to feature Batwoman. Batwoman is coming to
it's going to be Batwoman or is it going to be Batgirl?
Batwoman.
See, I saw that symbol. I thought it was Batman Beyond. You should have seen me.
Yeah.
I was flipping bricks.
I
thought they were gonna bring in Batman
Beyond. This is Bruce Wayne's rich cousin. I want to say Kate Kane. She is defined.
Is there a source material for her? Or is she
has her own books. Catwoman has a myriad of her own titles under Rebirth and in
these are all like after New 52. Like this is the DC Rebirth.
She existed before New 52, but I think New 52 made a point to give her her own title and go forth with her.
Well, then I'm up for it.
She's in Batman Bad Blood, the animated show where it has all the weird members of the Bat family, like Batwing and Nightwing and all those other kinds. She had a very, very big role in Detective Comics of this year, which is they set up a team around Batman, where it's Batman, Robin, Spoiler, Batwoman, Clayface is kind of like a hodgepodge team there. But she's done a lot of big things, but I guess I don't want to say her defining trait, but what most people remember about her is that she is a openly gay superhero. Batwoman is. So one of the big problems was she was gonna get married to Maggie Sawyer, a character on the CW in Supergirl, who's on the CW Supergirl show. But she was gonna get married to her in comics, and DC had to pull the plug because I guess they were scared of what the outcome would be. So that was a big thing. Was like, wow, DC, you were very, very progressive, and then all of a sudden, you change course. But with going with this crossover, you have to believe they touch on it. You have to believe, they highlight the homosexuality.
Well, I mean, they're making up for it now because Supergirl is casting its first transgender superhero, Nicole Maines.
Yeah.
So, like, one step ahead for progressiveness, I think everybody should get their day in the sun. Superheroism is not exclusive to anybody.
Exactly.
It is very inclusive. Eric Lyncher fought for years to prove that
mutants are the future, y'all.
Yes, and mutation is inclusive, not exclusive. Anybody can be a superhero as long as you have a heart for it.
And you're answering the call ultimately, right? There's been people better suited to be heroes who never answer the call. So does it really matter if you're built for this or not?
I'm more excited about it being able to be relatable to a certain demographic.
Somebody's gonna see that Batwoman show for the very first time and be like, "That's my hero. That's my hero."
Batgirl is the woman who's playing Batgirl is the transgender actress.
Is she?
Because all I got from the news was that Supergirl is casting a transgender.
Yeah, I seen that. No, that character is gonna be playing a character called Dreamer. I think that might be an alien thing, but I don't think they've casted actual Batwoman yet, because the crossover I think is going to introduce her, and that's another question in itself because DC and the CW has separated Supergirl's universe from everybody else's.
Even though
Maybe
they're in
even
the
Black,
same, aren't they in the
maybe
same
even
studio?
Black Lightning. I think Black Lightning, let's say, takes place on Earth 3. Supergirl takes place on Earth 2. Flash, Legends of Tomorrow, and Arrow take place on Earth 1 because. There's been no mention of Black Lightning or anybody else on his show. Like, there's been no mention on the other shows about Black Lightning, and there's been no mention of anybody else in Black Lightning's show. And then it was stated as a fact that Supergirl's universe is not the same universe as the Flash, Black Lightning.
So
and
then the only way they have done crossovers is through the multiverse.
So the last crossover, the one that you're talking about, they built Kara interdimensional travel device. So the first time that they ever crossed over, Flash ran so fast that he ended up on her Earth, and that they had an episode up
weird
together.
writing, but okay.
Well, the idea is that he shows up, and she's like, "Who are you?" And he's like, "Who am I? I'm the Flash." And she's like, "The what?" And he's like Green Arrow, the Atom, Deathstroke, and she's like, "I have no idea what you're talking about." And he goes, "Ooh, I think I'm on the wrong Earth." So they play around with that idea. So I don't know which Earth the Batwoman would be in. I would actually like it if the Batwoman was in Supergirl's world and they eventually built up to their own BVS kind of thing.
I need a Birds of Prey, a better one than the CW originally tried doing. And
yeah. I mean, you have what's her name? Canary's around.
Yeah, you have Canary. You have Supergirl.
You can get a Catwoman in there. You can throw a Poison Ivy in there.
Listen, if you don't think you can bring back old Helena, Huntress can come back like nothing.
Huntress was on Arrow.
Huntress was the best part of Arrow, and they threw her aside for one episode.
It was. She did add a lot of conflict. Yeah.
She was broken. But could you imagine? Take away Canary for a second. Could you imagine if they would have just rolled with the Huntress for at least one more season?
I think they put her in too early. It was the issue.
That's the problem. They put her in too early. She was here for an episode. All the conflict was is she wanted revenge on her father, and Ollie was trying to be a better person. But no, Ollie wasn't even trying to be a better person because he was killing it this time.
Right.
He wasn't trying to be a better person until he lost his best friend.
And speaking of Oliver, he seems to be in prison this season. Oliver seemingly locked behind bars with everyone he's ever locked away, which is going to be fun to see how they take on
I want
the
to
man.
see how this comes to fruition. I was watching the trailer for this today.
Did you see Cody Rhodes? Cody Rhodes is in that trailer because he plays some guy named Samson who sells Stardust. A drug in Arrow. I thought that was pretty cool. You get callbacks. Vinny Jones, I think,
trailer,
is in there. Chad Coleman returns. He plays a villain. He'll be in there. So that's kind of cool.
Who's that old man with that bald old guy?
I gotta think.
Because I remember in the trailer, I remember they did a cut where they were showing the comic book character next to the actor and actress. I don't know if you saw this trailer, but
I seen the one where they were trying to show how their CW shows match with the comic books. That's the one I think that eventually ends with the announcement that
the editing
Batwoman
was where you could see Flash in his comic book drawn style, and then you see the Grant Gustin playing.
There was Richard Dragon. They showed the Thinker with the thing.
That's
sticking out
what
of
I'm
his
talking
head.
about. Yeah, the Thinker, I guess.
Yeah, they had the Thinker there.
That dude looks sick.
That was a Flash season 4 villain. Flash his season seems to be dealing about with his daughter has come back from the future, and him dealing with that. Like I said, I just hope in general it's better than last season. His villain seems to be a guy named Cicada, who was also hit by lightning and believes that him and Flash are fated because they were both chosen.
Was it that
lightning.
dude in the wheelchair that was being a nice guy in front of everybody, but was actually?
Oh no,
behind?
that's my man. That's Eobard Thawne.
No. The other in the later seasons.
Oh no, that's the Thinker. That's the Thinker. Yeah.
That's the Thinker.
That's the Thinker.
I liked that guy where he was we're in front of everybody. He was just this nice guy, and he was making Barry look like a crazy person. He was going into his house and breaking in.
Yeah.
Trying
that was
to stalk him.
Yeah, that was the Thinker. Yeah.
I thought that was phenomenal. That whole little storyline. I liked how that was going because it really made Flash look like he was losing his mind.
Legends seems to be dealing with some of the effects of their time travel that they're messing up, and they're gonna have to enlist the help of John Constantine, who he had his own series, and it didn't last very long.
I'm so sad because I think Constantine is a great character to touch on.
Yeah, and now at least he'll be on Legends, so that's a good thing. And it looks like we see a little glimpse of what looks like Superlex armor in the Supergirl trailer, maybe for Lana Luthor. Maybe she goes in her brother's shoes and does a little bit of that. But CW is definitely ramping up this year, and the inclusion of the Batwoman crossover means a Batwoman show. So we will see where everyone's gonna fit in this
where
car.
It's just it opens doors. It opens doors. Even if they don't bring in Bruce Wayne, they can bring in anybody from not even his rogues gallery, but his team.
Yeah, they definitely, and they've already Batmanized Arrow, right? Like they took a lot of Batman things they liked about Batman and put it in
Give
Arrow.
me a Batman Beyond. You can do Batman Beyond. If you can do
So,
Legends of Tomorrow,
that
you
was
can do
my
Batman
thing.
Beyond.
I said you bring in Terry McGinnis for Legends of Tomorrow. I said it's
exactly.
right
Terry
there.
McGinnis would be. It's right there in front of you. Just grab it and pick it up. Like
maybe the introduction of this Batwoman thing.
That's what That was the first thing
I
said when I saw that. When I saw I kind of didn't like the trailer. The one thing I didn't like about the trailer is they showed me the bat symbol before they showed me
her.
Yeah. I would have loved to have seen Supergirl talking to like just a shoulder, and you're like, who are you or whatever, and then you see the Batgirl symbol, and I would have flipped. But showing me the Batgirl symbol beforehand, it was just like a cheap. It was like
yeah, it's like seeing the X-Men X in Avengers 4 and finding out Toad is showing up for the for the crossover.
Oh no, wait, that's not what I wanted. Like,
me, if you ask me, bucket list wise, my crossover event, if I could write a crossover event for this, I do Tower of Babel with Arrow. I say that Arrow, Oliver Queen, has a contingency plan against every meta he's ever met, and somebody finds it and uses it, exploits it. They trap
Tower
Supergirl.
of Babel is the Batman. That's before it was Doom on the animated. That's what it's interpreted. That's what its source material is. It's called the Tower of Babel.
Yep. Yeah. So I say you do that with Arrow.
I can see that. Him and I can see him and Diggle doing it behind even Felicity's back.
And Black Lightning, he has Black Lightning weaknesses. He has the weaknesses for the Wave Rider. He has the weaknesses for Supergirl and Flash. And how heartbroken they all are that he would take these precautions because he knows everybody. He knows White Canary. He knows Barry. He knows Kara.
Exactly, and that's why I can even see him losing Felicity.
Because
that way,
like that,
because of not only because of Adam,
Your
but
friends?
because of the because of
Your
her
friends,
her
Ollie?
heart, her friendship with Vibe and
Caitlin,
and Caitlin, exactly. Even Barry, even she's akin to Barry, so like I can see her being like Oliver. You don't trust anybody, and that's your problem. And if you can't trust us, we don't should be near you. And I could see that, and that would be perfect to have a dark, conflicted Arrow that doesn't know what's up and what is down.
Because they played him very much like Batman, where prep time Arrow can do anything. So you write that story, you have a fan for life. I'm acting like I'm not a fan for life already, though.
No, like I didn't think Arrow was gonna do anything, and I'll never forget the day that I saw like just that the classic Arrow poster, the Steve Amell shirtless with the quiver over him
and the scars.
Yeah, like I remember seeing that poster in the city, and I was like, "This is gonna be stupid." And then just one night, it was like 2:00 in the morning. I was like, I need something to binge. Arrow season 1 and 2 was right on Netflix, and I fell in love. I thought this was unlike anything I've seen. This was like an MCU film in episodic form. I got to see stuff that was as dark and gritty as Winter Soldier, but as emotional and thought-provoking as Civil War, but as fun as like Thor. Like
and the crazy thing about it is Arrow serves as the Iron Man of his franchise, of these franchise of shows, right?
He's the head honcho. He's the showrunner.
It's on his spine that the rest of these shows exist, and I wonder what the DC CW universe looks like without Arrow. If Arrow ever decides, like after season 8 we're done, do they pick up new heroes? Does the roster change? But we all know they got the space for it because what was also announced was coming fall 2018, the DC Universe streaming service, $7.99 a month.
Can't wait. $7.99 a month, ladies and gentlemen.
Change, baby. Change.
And if you type this promotional code in now, I wish.
If you type in this promotional code in now, you can pre-order free of charge. It's free to pre-order, but you still got to pay the price that they make you pay for the streaming service. But yeah, I've already kind of sort of jumped the gun. I've already signed up.
You signed up?
Yeah, the money is gone.
I think I might sign up for it because
I'm gonna argue with my wallet, but the money's already gone, and so I am looking forward to them dropping a bunch of content this fall. And we got a look at 2 projects that seemingly are done. One of them being Titans. Titans, man, we and you just saw Teen Titans Go, and without spoiling it, that franchise is alive and well.
Apparently Jade Wilson lied. I thought they don't do movies about sidekicks and stuff like that. But now we got a whole now we got a whole episodic season about this.
And the Titans trailer drops, and the first thing that makes me raise an eyebrow is we get a TVMA warning, and I'm like, well, what am I about to see here? And
it ain't even nothing.
It not really is anything. he uses the F word again on Batman. That's one of the biggest moments of it. But it's
blasphemy is what it is. That you ungrateful little twerp.
We also see him like shooting people. There was like a moment of him using somebody's gun to shoot people, which is not a very Robin
like, come on,
thing
guy,
to
do you understand the Wayne family? It's like, do you understand?
Definitely a grittier remake, and with them having their own streaming service, they can do whatever they want with these characters. They can curse, they can make the episodes 3 hours long. This is going to be their format. But I've heard some criticisms. I've heard that it looks fan made.
It does.
My favorite probably comment that I've gotten is, "Wow, this season of Riverdale looks crazy." that was hands down my favorite criticism levied against it.
It was kind of weird because I saw on Twitter, I saw a picture of a regular civilian woman at a San Diego Comic-Con doing a cosplay of Starfire.
Yeah.
And it looked 200 million times better than the cosplay choicing of...
Yeah, people seem to be making that a race thing.
Because she looks like... It's not a race.
It's not a race thing.
You know what it is?
It's not a race thing.
She's wearing a fuzzy... short-cut top. She looks like a prostitute from the 70s.
And the hair is like a pink. It's not really like a fire red. It's like a
it's like some bubblegum pink.
Right.
She's got like this purple like leather dress that comes up to her thighs.
That's canonical, but why have then the fur coat over that?
But she just she looks like she's trying to be Pam Grier and Foxy Brown. Like,
yeah, it was a little bit starting.
It's not the race, it's the costume choicing. If you could take away from anything that I say, it's the costume choicing.
That's literally
because I love Beast Boy. I think Beast Boy looks awesome to me. I love that jacket.
Yeah,
I might want to find that jacket and get it. It's the costume. The costume tells you everything.
I wonder what the budget is going to be for this because
it's
a lot of
service.
people.
It's not Netflix, but
yeah,
that's why they should have waited for this Titan thing. Give it a couple of years. Get yourself a fan base. Get some money, and then you can look how long it took Netflix to do their original programmings.
Yeah.
Now Netflix has a whole Marvel franchise on their original programming.
But I think that a lot of these companies that are starting these streaming service think that it's an incentive that something exists on their service that doesn't exist elsewhere. You're right. Netflix took quite some time before probably the last 5 years maybe.
It's only been 4. It's only been 4 years.
Yeah,
4 or 5 years.
It hasn't been all that long. But WWE, when they came out with their streaming service, they made sure they had programming.
Yeah, but WWE has clout.
Exclusive. Well, DC has clout. You don't think DC has clout? DC has clout. Come on. Even if it's just for the animated Batman series.
Okay, fine. For the animation alone, not even for the animated movies alone.
And imagine they would all be there. All the animated movies would be there. Linda Carter, 77 Wonder Woman. Christopher Reeves is coming in there. We got.
Are we gonna get the old George Reeve of Superman Adventures? Maybe the Lois?
I say we should. I want the Max Fleischer cartoons.
The
old
Dean
60s.
Cain Adventures of Lois and Clark.
I want the. I don't know about all that. We'll see if Birds of Prey shows up or we get Smallville. There's a bunch of that stuff, man. All that stuff.
On Hulu too.
All of that stuff. Static Shock. All of that stuff seemingly in the ether for DC to grab on.
If we can get Batman Beyond back.
You understand? And they could potentially continue them the same way Netflix has on their streaming service.
Yeah, I basically see the DC streaming service as what WWE Network is, just with everything DC. Just like you can get their podcast, you can get their
and they're also doing comics on there too.
Wait, you can read
DC comics. Yeah.
So you would press the button, it would skip, or you put it on a loop and stuff.
Yeah,
that I'm actually down for.
It's gonna open up their library. I don't know how extensive it's gonna be.
Audiobooks.
But even if they do only a third of their library, this company has existed since the 30s. So we'll be good on that.
Well, they are doing something that Marvel isn't, because there isn't a Marvel streaming service. There's a Marvel app.
Yeah, but Disney is seemingly doing the same thing, which is what people were having an issue with. They were wondering whether or not Disney was going to pull their Marvel Netflix shows off of Netflix, because only certain Disney movies are right now on Netflix. Nothing, I don't think, older than
full
3 years
Disney,
ago.
or are you talking about Marvel?
Marvel Disney. I know Disney's going to come out with their streaming service straight up. And that's going to have
I was just looking at it yesterday, actually. The only Marvel movies that are on Netflix is
Ragnarok and Civil War, right?
Is Ragnarok, Civil War,
Doctor Strange,
and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2.
Yeah.
Those are the only ones that are on right now.
Right. Nothing from the past. And so that made people believe that they might be taking their ball and going home with it, and starting their own service. And with
I thought that Netflix...
with Disney, though, right? Because we're not talking about Warner Brothers universe. We're talking about DC universe. So it's going to be a little bit different because if Disney does their streaming service, they could seemingly do a streaming service that's all inclusive with Star Wars, Pixar, Disney Animation, and Marvel, and Fox. So literally half of your childhood would be on one streaming service.
Yeah, but then that would then Netflix loses half of its fucking.
Is that Disney's problem? The House of Mouse don't play, baby. The House of Mouse don't play. We got a quick look at Hawk and Dove seem to be on it. Dick Grayson seems to be a little old. Raven seems to be a little emo. I'm not trying to trash the trailer, but I probably was. Cool. It was the Teen Titans Go movie was a little bit more enjoyable than seeing this. Not everyone. Like we say this all the time, but you can't paint everyone with the same brush. You can't paint everyone with this dark and gritty and realistic brush because when you have a kid with green hair and green skin that can turn into a snake, you can't be having the dark and brooding.
But they're teen. It's in the name, and they're not even putting the teen. That's the worst. They
didn't make it Teen Titans. It's just Titans. So
this sounds weird.
They have the excuse that they don't have to be teenagers.
This sounds even weirder. Now they sound like some super-powered aliens from another planet that are like the champions of tomorrow, the Titans.
And look at that. Cyborg can't be on the team because Cyborg got upgraded to Justice League. So that's how that happens.
Who are we going to get? Blue Beetle? I'm down for Blue Beetle. I
wouldn't be surprised if we get Blue Beetle. But Blue Beetle is actually a character in the next little bit of teaser we got. Young Justice Outsiders.
Okay, I am confused to holy hell from this trailer. I think that they were just pulling literally 2 to 3 second scenes.
It didn't even look like a trailer. It looked like just footage from an episode.
Every episode.
Yeah.
It was 1 to 2, 3 scenes from every single episode. This was definitely not a trailer. I'm down for what it looks like a dope looking storyline. Apparently, like I guess the Young Justice is no more. Or?
Yeah, it seems to be a time jump, which makes sense because it was 8 years since the last season, and people have been calling for a new season of this show forever. Remember that?
Oh, there was an uproar. I heard that even like Netflix was supposed to take up the 3rd season.
It did a lot of good for characters like Aqualad and stuff like that, who people didn't have much of a background story for. And then
personally for me, it was people like Arsenal and Artemis. Like I never even knew that Green Arrow had any kind of
one, two, yeah, two.
Like what?
So they seem to be just trying to do a time jump. Wally seems to be gone from this, and I don't know if he's coming back.
Well, the last season he like sacrificed himself. I remember he like,
which is very Wally. Period. Like this is what we're dealing with in the comics too. Where Wally
but this was a beautiful
time.
little nod. This wasn't like him racing against himself to save his mom. This was like protege and master like seeing each other for the last time.
But we will see if they do like they did in the comics, and if someone pulls Wally out of the Speed Force after the sacrifice, because that's what's currently going on in comics now, and I can see that being a touch point. But if it's not, then Impulse will just take his cowl, seemingly take the mantle and go off with it. The main crux of this season seems to be metahuman trafficking. They're gonna stop people from moving people from I think Markovia, and you hear that what is her name? Tara Markovia was kidnapped. Remember there's like a royal family.
Yeah.
They're saying their daughter was kidnapped. Their daughter ends up being Tara from Judas Contract fame. So I wonder if they're bringing her in or what the deal is with that. That'd be pretty interesting. But Young Justice is here, and with that and Titans, Swamp Thing is going to be coming by James Wan, live action.
James Wan is covering he's going to cover the Swamp Thing
television show. Yep.
Is that going to be on the DC streaming service?
DC streaming service.
I gotta get the DC streaming
Harley
service.
Quinn TV MA animation.
Wow.
DC streaming
TV.
service.
Okay, animation. I'm down for that.
DC streaming service.
All right, for that, if now that there's a DC streaming service, they should just put the Joaquin Phoenix Joker origin straight to DC streaming service. That's it.
So you got Titans, like I said, and Young Justice. So all that will be coming to the DC streaming service, which I already have. So I just can't wait for them to hit the pedal to the metal with that. But DC came pretty heavy with the trailers at San Diego Comic-Con.
No, they had some good trailers.
Marvel literally just came out of theaters. We still have Ant-Man and the Wasp in theaters, and Infinity War was not that long ago, and Black Panther took all the money. So Marvel didn't really have much to say. And besides the
what does Marvel have to say right now? Marvel literally put their junk on the table and said, "Your move, DC."
They like I said, they took all the money. The biggest thing to come out of Marvel was the James Gunn situation. But as far as movies and TV goes, they showed a Iron Fist trailer.
Ladies and gentlemen, do we have to talk about it?
There was an Iron Fist trailer.
I'm not really interested.
If Iron Fist season 2 is able to win me over, then hats off. I'm not somebody who holds grudges, even though they took 10 hours of my life, 10 plus hours of my life, and did absolutely nothing with it.
Big Lebowski with superpowers.
You understand? I need something a little better, and hopefully they'll do this, because the trailer was just him beating up people in an alley. But we got to see a better Danny Rand in Luke Cage and a better Danny Rand Defender. So hopefully this will be the hat trick.
Well, was it the same director? Same writers and stuff?
Different writers
so
and stuff.
Exactly. Whoever directed the first season, I hope they didn't bring him back for the second one.
But they obviously have seen the criticisms, because we see a little bit of fight redemption. We see him actually fight people, and they don't cut away. It's not all these crazy cuts where you can't tell who's hitting who.
Well, you showed me from a long time ago that Kevin Smith said it best. No one wants to see a whole TV show about Danny Rand and the struggle to get his family name back.
Right, or boardroom meetings or any of that kind of stuff. Like that's not.
And the man's walking around New York City in a $200 suit and barefoot.
Yeah.
Like this isn't. I get it. Danny Rand is barefoot and on all this stuff, but it's just there's certain things I don't need to see.
They'll be introducing the villain Typhoid Mary.
I have no idea who that is.
I seen her in Daredevil. She kind of had like a half face, but I definitely got to do my research on Typhoid Mary. If you guys are a fan of Typhoid Mary, send us information, because we like to be educated.
Oh yes,
here.
definitely, please. Any comics you want us to read, any like panels to check out, we'll definitely look into it.
As far as TV and movies are concerned, that is basically the end of what DC and Marvel were able to give us. But you know what we did get? We got a trailer for a little ditty called Glass.
Oh, I'm
Seems
very
like
excited.
M. Night Shyamalan is back. And he's back to give us another twist. A twist
what?
on the
twist?
A twist on the superhero mythos. A twist on superhero universes and superhero trilogies.
He twisted us all by making us sit through Unbreakable 18 years ago.
Let's twist again like we did last summer, because Glass is coming out, and this is the low-key trilogy, superhero trilogy out of the mind of M. Night Shyamalan. The first one being Unbreakable, the second being Split, and now Glass, literally just words. Unbreakable, Split, Glass. And, man, Samuel L. Jackson.
Well, if you look at it, think of the titles.
Bruce Willis.
What's the title of each movie? The first movie was about who? David.
Yeah.
And him learning that he's different. And why is he different? He's unbreakable.
Yeah.
And the second movie, we learned about the 23 personalities of a man who is split.
Yeah.
And now the final movie is I think we're finally going to get to see the fruition of Glass.
I just want to see somebody scream so loud that Samuel Jackson shatters simultaneously.
I wonder if his eardrums can shatter.
You understand? I just want to see this.
I want to see the Man in Orange fight.
Let's take this to the limit. But this is what people have clamored for. This is the realistic take on the superhero mythos. No capes, no symbols on the chest.
No, this is
no
very
multiverses.
realistic.
This is realistic superhero story, the comic book genre, done, not tongue-in-cheek, legit, straight-up served, like the Dark Knight
It's an everyman. When was the last time you seen a supervillain movie that was about the everyman?
And we speak a lot about superhero redemption, the act that you can play a superhero, fail, and get the opportunity to play another one and do it well. Maybe this is movie redemption for Shyamalan, because a lot of people were wondering whether or not he was a hack after a couple of disappointing films that he ended up making.
It's not the fact of it's a couple of disappointing films. Every director has a couple of disappointing films. It's the fact that this man went over 8 years of a streak of disappointing films. The Happening, Last Airbender, After Earth, Devil, The Visit.
That was the elevator one, right?
Yeah, I mean he wrote it. It is straight up a Shyamalan story.
Right.
That is everything
is
about
he
that
in
movie.
the elevator?
No,
No.
he is not. He pulls no cameo. He doesn't pull no Shyamalan stuff. But that movie, from beginning to end, from visuals to dialogue, that movie is a Shyamalan film. So I blame Shyamalan for it. It's just years of a bad streak.
But maybe this is his redemption. Maybe this is what
for everyone saying that Split was their redemption for them, and to me it wasn't. I didn't like Split. I didn't like it.
You know what my issue was with Split? Without spoiling it for those who haven't seen it yet, go see it. This is kind of a spoiler, but I was expecting a twist, and when the twist didn't come, I was kind of disappointed, because Shyamalan has made it a point to make his audience feel dumb.
No. Let the audience know. This is stupid. This is stupid. Let the audience know that there's a twist, people. But it is so dumb that you're gonna say, "Is that it? Is that? I think that's the twist."
Yeah.
And you're just scratching your head. Like,
but I didn't mind the film. It was just hard for me to think that someone could really do that.
It was boring to me. To me, it was boring.
I like McAvoy. I think he throws his weight and everything that he does.
I will never say a bad thing about McAvoy. He is a gem, and he was the perfect person to play that role.
But now you're about to have Professor X, Nick Fury, and John McClane, the 3 American superheroes. The American superhero trilogy is about to come forth, and it sounds like the villains are teaming up. That line made me laugh because it was like, that's so arch villainy. That's so Sinister Six or Legion of Doom. Like, we're really about to like.
And I just think it's cool because it's like what caught me from surprise is that you have no idea what happened to David's life.
Yeah.
From the end of Unbreakable, he turns in Elijah. And then
that's all written. We don't even see it. We get a paragraph on the screen.
So he goes back to his life. He turns in Elijah. Then you see,
and what ends him
this trailer, and it's like
he's in a mental institution.
Seemingly. It's not just he's in a mental institution. So he is locked because apparently he is not. They're not really superheroes. Apparently, well, they're not. They don't have real problems. James McAvoy is not really a beast. You know, Elijah's not really this ultra smart.
Right?
No, yeah, that's the thing is. The woman that has them locked in there says that they are in there because of delusions of grandeur.
Right.
Meaning that they think that they're more important than they are.
Yeah. But then Glass says, but we can all do these things. So what is the evidence of that? What does that do to your reality? Because you say we can't. All your books say you can't. All the doctors say you can't. Watch him do it. And now what? What answer do you have for the guy who
Especially
can?
Especially with David. It's like we all know that the dude's never been sick. He was the only survivor of that Philadelphia train crash in 1999.
Yeah, so
2000s.
His stuff is definitely proven, but we'll see if this shines a little bit more light on Glass.
Oh, there was a scene when you see like the Beast like jumping into the man in orange, and I'm just like, oh man, I am down to see a 60-year-old Bruce Willis get his ass kicked by James McAvoy.
There was also a little bit of watching Bruce play like vigilante, like day by day vigilante, where they show him attacking somebody
he was
in the
talking
house.
because she was asking him where does his powers come from, and he's like, it's just a feeling. I have to touch somebody and I see what they've done,
and then he puts on his raincoat and goes, and
then we get that great James Newman Howard score, and it's like
really, really good. But yeah, I commend them on that, especially considering it's coming from Universal, and Universal had their own problems getting their their universe put together. How can Universal not get their Dark Monster universe put together, but now we have a split universe? How does this happen?
Because Shyamalan is low key a genius. He just can't direct,
and he should always remain low key. This should be the advice for all studios. Unless you know this is an Oscar-winning movie with writing, directing, and all that special effects, don't say anything. Let us come to the conclusions, because a lot of this press stuff is killing movies before killing them in the womb.
Oh, that's the problem with the internet age. The internet age is killing movies. What's it called? I think it was it After? Yes, After Earth was actually one of the first victims of the Twitter wars, where a movie was watched and reviewed before it hit theaters, and so much word to mouth hit Twitter that the movie was killed before it even hit its opening weekend.
Right, and you also have conspiracy theorists that say that people who are fans of the big two, Marvel and DC, will trash each other's films on Rotten Tomatoes, and that would effectively change the score and then discourage people from seeing these things. So it has become malicious at this point.
Thank God that Rotten Tomatoes has audience reviews and worker reviews.
Yeah.
Audience reviews means nothing to the percentage. And for anybody that doesn't understand the Rotten Tomato percentage, I'm going to just real quick.
Go ahead, brother.
If there's 150 reviewers reviewing a movie and only 75 people of that 150 like that movie, the movie is going to get a 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, because it's 50% of the audience enjoyed it. If you want to see the real rating of a Rotten Tomatoes movie, you have to go to the desktop page on your computer, and it'll tell you 6.5 out of 10. And most of the times that a movie is a 47% on Rotten Tomatoes will have a 7.5 out of 10 on their ratings, because it's not the quality of the movie that percentage is, it's the people that liked it. But
exactly. And so people don't really have to hang their hat on any of those ratings. Ultimately, if you're the only person, right, if you saw the movie and you liked it, then it's 100% fresh for you, right?
Like for me, it'll be 100% because I liked it.
So that that should be the only thing that matters. But all of these film and television, they come from the very, very, very rewarding media of comics. Actual paper comic books. Well, digital, depending on how you read yours. But there's a bunch of stuff coming down the pike as far as comics is concerned. We'll go with Marvel first, but the Marvel What If series is coming back.
Oh, I can't wait for this.
Marvel What If series basically tells almost like Elseworld stories that don't exist in Marvel continuity, and they postulate like, what if Wolverine was a vampire? And here's one issue of Wolverine as a vampire. And
so
what
you remember that Futurama episode where Professor Farnsworth creates the what if machine and everybody just has to speak into it, and then you see that clip from the episode of the answer of the question?
Yeah.
This is going to be awesome. I would love to see like a panel of like, what if Captain America was never Captain America? And I want to see how America would look. I think they
do what if Aunt May was bit by the spider is one from the past that they've done. There's a lot of crazy
what if
what
Uncle
ifs.
Ben never died?
There you go. I mean, matter of fact, for the show, what creative Marvel what if can you can put together?
What creative Marvel what if could I put together? In the comics, is it Nick Fury that founded S.H.I.E.L.D., or is it still Peggy Carter? And
I want to say it might have been the Carters, or at least the Starks, right? Starks got some. Howard got some digs in.
Okay,
in old S.H.I.E.L.D.
So what if S.H.I.E.L.D. was never founded?
What if there was no such thing as S.H.I.E.L.D.?
What if there was no such thing as S.H.I.E.L.D.?
I like that.
I would want to see like how superheroes would interact with government officials without a S.H.I.E.L.D. helping the process.
I want what if Magneto founded the X-Men.
Ooh.
Or the M-Men?
The M-Men.
Is that what that was?
House of M.
Oh, there you go, right?
House of M.
Yeah, Marvel What If, it seems that it's going to show you a bunch
What if Wolverine never got his adamantium?
Oh, there you go.
And all we have is just
Bone
50
claws?
Yeah, just 2018 Wolverine and bone claws. He never got his adamantium.
Speaking of which, I'm dying here because did you see the new evolution of Wolverine?
No.
That's why I'm coughing like this. His claws can they're hot now.
Hey, excuse
They're
me?
hot, like they turn red hot now. They can
like
heat.
from X-Men Origins when the
Yes,
Cyclops
yes.
beams was there and he was able to cut Deadpool's head off. It's gonna look like that, and his bones.
Yeah,
it's not
no,
even.
it's still adamantium.
Oh, it's
adamantium, but it's
so
they're hot.
He's
now.
gonna be
They
able.
can turn hot.
So it's just gonna be legit a red adamantium that you know is like 100 degrees.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I almost died. Because
Can't adamantium already cut through anything? How much more?
I don't know. I have no idea what's going on with that. But as
Poor guy just couldn't die after Old Man Logan. Couldn't just leave him alone.
It behooves these companies to create these multiversal stories because they're not tied to continuity.
I
they're
guess
not tied
that's the
to
best
release
part
date.
about comics is when it's non-canon, you can do anything. That's
Right.
why Norman Osborn does run S.H.I.E.L.D. in an Iron Man outfit in
yeah.
in one comic book.
Yeah, man, that's Dark Reign right there. But DC's doing the same thing. They're coming out with their own imprint called the DC Black Label imprint.
I'm going to get back into.
The first issue of to come under the DC Black Label imprint will come out September 19th, 2019, and that will be the Batman Damned story, written by Brian Azzarello. He actually wrote the Joker graphic novel, which much more gritty, grimy, bloody Joker. There's a scene of him like passed out, taking a bunch of pills and drinking. He has a face like Heath Ledger with the Glasgow smile. So really gritty stuff. It seems to be mature audiences only. There's going to be a lot more.
I heard
grit
that they're
and
going to be
grime.
covering very provocative stories, like very stories that you would have to need like an ID to buy it in the comic book store for.
Frank Miller, is returning. They're also
so
saying,
then this is why. This is why. This is
also,
exactly why.
They're also saying like it's only going to be the best of the best touching stories. So Frank Miller, who wrote Batman Year One and who wrote Dark Knight Returns, is going to be writing Superman Year One. So we will see from the
I loved Batman Year One. I thought that was a phenomenal read.
Yeah.
So I'm excited for Superman Year One.
Mr. Miller's gone a little bit crazy in these years, so I want to see what a first year of Superman looks like to that man because his all-star Batman and Robin was hilariously crazy. We have like a Homer's Odyssey type book called Wonder Woman Historia that's going to be dealing with Hippolyta, her mother, and the founding of...
Are they going to be telling the Odyssey story from the women's perspective?
Like the founding of Themyscira. With the Amazons and Hippolyta.
That's pretty badass.
If you can have some kind of like 16th chapel art in it, I'm sold. Get some florid language,
like water painting. I'm
with
down for that.
with that. You can give me that. And then Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo seemingly are gonna tell their
standing
last
ovation.
Yeah, their final Batman story called the Last Night. It's not the final Batman story, but Scott Snyder they're writing an ending to their Batman. And I love Scott Snyder and Greg Capullo's work. I think that team, especially starting off in the New 52, did some great work, and I cannot wait for that. And that not to mention, I forgot Jeff Johns' Three Jokers book. Jeff John came out and said that there are three Jokers in continuity. They've always been three Jokers in continuity, and his Three Jokers book is claiming to answer the question of why and how.
So are we getting the devil that takes form? Are we getting like comedian as one Joker?
Like the pale face man or whatever.
Yeah, because I heard that besides the fact that there was three Jokers, I heard another one that the Joker was always just the pale face devil. Taking many forms over.
That was told at the end of the Snyder run, where they were like, the pale-faced man has been seen for many years and yada yada. But then when he was sat on the Morbius chair, he was able to find out that there was three Jokers, because he asked like, "What's Joker's name?" "Oh, it can't be," and he finds out there's three of them. I don't know if they'll do any of the introductions, and maybe this is a way for everyone to have their Joker.
See, I really don't know how I feel about this. The fact that there's three Jokers.
I personally think that the Joker character is overexposed, but
Yeah, they're doing too. They're trying to he's already popular. He's the Joker. You don't need
popular,
to do
and he's popular because he's a mystery. The more you tell us about him, the more we find out about him. The less popular he ends up being.
Exactly. It's not even. It's the popularity was shrouded in mystery, like you said. So it's like I love the fact that there is no real name for the Joker. Yeah. That he has no origin story.
Oh, did you hear they gave him a name in Joaquin Phoenix's?
Oh. Well, I mean, listen, they gave him. They gave him a name in the Tim Burton Batman. So I tend to chalk it up. I tend to chalk it up to that one line that I read in a Joker panel was, "If I'm gonna have a mind, I best make it multiple choice."
Oh, I'm gonna have a past, yeah.
Yeah, if I'm gonna have a past, I better make it multiple choice. So I was like, I like that.
What I like, about this whole Joker thing is that it does give different creatives an opportunity to play around with the character, but. Like I said again, the enigma is what is the selling point behind the character. And Jeff Johns' book says that it's gonna show us a hidden connection to Batman and Joker, and I fear that. I fear that with all my heart, because I feel like the randomness.
He's a bad guy. He's a criminal. Batman.
The randomness is what does it. But are you ready to hear the madness that is being rumored for going on in this Joaquin Phoenix film?
Oh, here we go.
So, it's being rumored that we will be seeing Joker's mom, and that Joker's mom works for Thomas Wayne and has a crush on Thomas Wayne, leading people to believe that Thomas Wayne had an affair with this woman.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
Who then burst the Joker.
Jesus Christ.
Making Joker Batman's half-brother. I think that's absolute garbage. I think that's cheap. And I think that is uncreative. Is that a word? Increative? How did somebody get back to me on that? But you
carnies of creative expression, you killers of originality. I can't believe it. Oh my God.
So who knows? Who knows? People need a personal connection to the villains and heroes, and apparently this is going to be the wrinkle that gives us that.
Why does everything need to be a spider web? Why can't things just be?
Me and Yogi spoke about this, and Yogi says that the idea that people close to you, could be your enemy is realistic, and I agree with that. But I also agree with the fact that some people just want to do you harm who've never met you, who have nothing. You understand? Just because they just want to do bad things, and you have to tell that story too. We have Lincoln March is the brother of Bruce Wayne. That was said in Court of Owls, and he's a villain. So you already have a villain.
So now Bruce has a brother.
It hasn't been proven, but there's enough evidence to say that is legitimately his brother. We can't do this whole, parental stuff, and you're gonna make us think the wrong way about Thomas going forward. He's the guy in County who cheats on Martha with some floozy at his
I know that's what, I have Nolan's Thomas Wayne from all the flashbacks in my head.
With the stethoscope.
Yeah, where why do we fall, Bruce?
I have that engraved.
Yeah, so we can learn to pick ourselves up. They made this. You know what this is right here? This is the same mistake Tim Burton made in Batman Returns when they tried making the Penguin to be something like if he was really close to Bruce. I understand Penguin in the comics is actually close to Bruce, but they tried to make it on the cusp of him almost being his brother. Of sorts.
In the comics, the idea behind Penguin is that his family, the Cobblepots, were at one point as prestigious as the Waynes, and that he has not dealt with the falling of his prestige all that well. But
wasn't his
Tim
parents
Burton,
like
there was
bad
never,
people in like the comics or some sort?
Well, well, in the comics, it was never a case of throwing the son into the ocean.
Yeah,
that was never a thing.
That's just Tim Burton being Tim Burton.
So Tim Burton in that movie did more of a nature versus nurture kind of situation. Like, this is somebody who was raised in the woods, and this is somebody who was raised with a nice family, and they were both of rich parents. But see
and
what
that
happened.
is creative
And
juxtaposition. This isn't.
No, it's not. It's literally just whoa. And
It's forced juxtaposition, and that's even worse.
Yeah,
because Batman is a crime fighter. Joker is a criminal.
He's a criminal.
That's all you need.
Oh my god! Well, then he wouldn't be getting married to a cat.
Well, I want to talk about this Heroes in Crisis because this has me intrigued.
That'll be the last thing we speak about here, but it'll be the Heroes in Crisis, crossover event that's going to be helmed by Tom King. First issue comes out September 26, 2018, and
I hear he's a pretty good artist from what I've been reading.
Well, he's a writer. He's the one also behind the Batman 50 fiasco of them not being married. So he had a yacht that was press was allowed to go on it, and they were being shown parts of this story in real life. So the story is supposed to be a murder mystery dealing with a place called the Sanctuary. So the Sanctuary is this place where villains and heroes alike with PTSD or post-traumatic stress disorder can come and seek therapy. One of the best parts about this Sanctuary place is as soon as you arrive, you are given a featureless gold mask and a white robe. So this way you're indistinguishable from all the other guests. No one knows who you are. So the press were given white robes and gold masks.
If I don't get Aquaman in a white robe being all meta, like, why do they hate me? Why am I not cool enough?
That'd be funny. So we got this PTSD murder mystery, and like I said,
it's starting out with a mass shooting.
Yes,
like,
it's supposed to be starting out with a
They're going
mass
straight social
shooting.
commentary on this one.
Tom King used to work for the CIA, so he
like in real life. Oh crap!
Like in real life. So he has been he's been looked at as the writer who goes hard on the depressing aspects of being a hero. And while I do like that, I do think you should always find the realistic emotional and mental strains that these heroes go under. We've been doing it for a kind of a while now.
What I read is that he holds this sanctuary concept really close to his heart. Like,
the idea that there's rehabilitation for PTSD,
this whole rehabilitation for superheroes and supervillains. The sanctuary concept in general is like in his eyes, like his magnum opus. Like, this is what he can. And
hopefully it stays on afterwards.
I hope. Get Victor Strange in there.
Get
Victor Strange talking to a therapist and getting the therapist.
That's Hugo.
I mean, Hugo. Get Victor Freeze in there.
Yeah.
You know,
he
missing
needs to
his wife.
Somebody.
He needs to talk to someone about his wife. But get Hugo in there. Have him talk to somebody, because he definitely suffers from delusions of grandeur more than Batman does.
Right. And supposedly there's a Danger Room-esque level to this sanctuary where they can recreate the traumatic event to help the people get through it.
Are they going to fund everybody's MIT
operations? I think Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman put all their money and time and effort into this place existing, and no one knows. It's like in the middle of, like, let's say Nevada or something like that, and so people. That's crazy. People just go there.
Yeah, but it's a safe space.
It has the robots. It has the robots from the Fortress of Solitude, and it has all that stuff there. It's supposed to have like the compassion of Wonder Woman, the strength of Batman, and the wherewithal of Superman or something like that. And so they're supposed to use those three as the pillars of the universe to try to get the redemption arc.
Well, I mean, they basically are like the crutch of
the entire universe. So we're going to be seeing how heroes deal with the trauma that they deal with out there. So I'm interested in that. And if Tom King thinks that he can, tell a compelling story, everyone's been listening to it. Everyone's been waiting for it, and they didn't get it with the wedding. So,
well, there's a lot of. You have all the cogs moving in one place. Like, you just have to turn the clock on. I'm down for this. This looked, just because you're selling me just on the PTSD rehabilitation center thing alone.
Yeah,
that's what you're selling me on alone.
I definitely want to see what happens. They saying that it's going to be a murder mystery, so someone's going to be killed off the rip, and the two people that are seemingly being pointed at as the
I
suspects,
heard about this.
Our
I
one
think you
Harley
mentioned
Quinn,
this to
Harley
me.
Quinn, and Booster Gold. Now Harley Quinn's an interesting one because she's dealt with enough trauma on her own, and she has a PhD, so we know that she can be therapeutic, but also needs therapy. So who knows what's going on with that? And then Booster Gold was in a comic where he was held in the Batcave for several years, and so he has his own trauma. It took place in an alternate timeline, but he is definitely traumatized. So we'll be seeing how Booster deals with all of this. But this has been a lot of news, and it makes me just happy in general to be a part of this whole
I know,
comic book
like,
thing because
yes.
every month we'll be getting something. The CW stuff dropping in the fall. You got Iron Fist still this year. Aquaman is still this year. The CW is coming with Batwoman this year. The Black Label's coming this year. And then we got a bunch of stuff coming next year. So I am incredibly excited for everything to come down the pike. How about you?
This weekend took a lot out of me with all watching Collider, watching a lot of YouTube, like all these trailers, and not just comic book trailers. People, Josh Whedon is getting a Buffy reboot. Roswell is getting a reboot. This Godzilla trailer looks amazing. So, Comic-Con had a lot that was just not specifically comic book, but superhero fantasy elements. So, I'm very excited about everything that's going to be coming up in the fall into 2019, and I can't wait, honestly, for everything that I see here as far as movies and TV shows go. I'm most excited for Shazam and the CW crossover.
I'm most excited to see DC stick the landing. They've been getting a lot of criticism as of late, and hopefully they are able to turn this around. I'm loving their
Well,
comics.
I mean, if we can
and
get
stuff
two DC movies that are
that are not
amazing,
absolutely terrible.
I would love for it to be Wonder Woman and Shazam.
That makes sense. And Wonder Woman 84 will be coming out, I'll say next year too.
Oh, they're gonna be in 1984 here, yeah, right?
Yeah, Wonder Woman 84. That's what they're calling it. They're calling it
Wonder Woman 84?
Yeah.
Sounds pretty dope.
So you got a bunch of stuff coming. Infinity War is finishing up next year. We'll get another Spider-Man Homecoming next year.
Far from
Captain
home.
Marvel. So hopefully we get more Marvel stuff at New York City Comic Con, which we will be attending. Look out for the major issues announcement on that. But
Maybe
as far
one
as
of us
all
might
this,
even be covering it live. You never know.
and speaking of covering it live, majority of this stuff here we're gonna cover under the Comic Book Clique major issue banner. So the only way to make sure that you are on top of it is to like, share, and subscribe to Major Issues Podcast. Look for it wherever podcasts are found. That's Podbean, Stitcher, Podcast Addict, Apple iTunes, the Apple Podcast app in general. You can Google Major Issues Podcast, and we're the first ones to pop right up there. So there's no excuse. Every phone, you're able to hear our beautiful voices wax poetically about the greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media. But what if you want to get to us? What if you want to talk to us? Well, you can reach everyone at Comic Book Clique at Facebook.com/Comic Book Clique, Instagram at Comic Book Clique, or use the hashtag Comic Book Clique to talk about the newest, hottest, latest, and greatest things to come to comic books and comic book media.
And we do respond. I will respond.
Yes.
Dan the Comic Man will even sign it at the dotted line that he will respond to any and all questions, and he will forward them.
Yeah, we helm all these social media platforms, and we want to hear you guys talk about it. Like I said, I've been to the future, so I know that Major Issues becomes the latest and greatest thing to come to comic book media, but it's going to take you guys and your help. Last but not least, if I can ask for a favor, try to rate and review this podcast. It's the quickest way for us to get honest feedback from you guys and to grow as podcasters, see what we've done wrong, what we've done right, what you guys like and what you guys dislike. And it will help us grow not only as a podcast, but it will help us grow our audience, because 5-star ratings is how people find this podcast in general, and our numbers are climbing, so I know you guys are spreading the word, and I personally want to thank you guys for that. But this has been our San Diego Comic-Con news and trailers review for 2018. My name is George Serrano, aka The Don.
Dan the Comic Man.
And we hope that you guys stay tuned for the next week's episode, where we'll be tackling Teen Titans Go to the Movies. But whether or not you're DC or Marvel, whether or not you're the King of Atlantis, or you got your powers from some wizard, whether or not you are from Young Justice or trying to defend Kung Lung, we are the Clique, and you, yes, you are worthy.
And don't forget, crack an egg on it.
That'll make sense.